Hello, hello. Today we're going to be talking about why so many people moved to the United States after the Civil War. We're going to call these people that move into the United States from other countries immigrants. Okay, so there's an extremely high rate of immigration after the Civil War. We're going to talk about why that is. Why do so many people want to move to the United States after the Civil War? Well, the first reason is they're hoping for better opportunities. Okay, and there are other countries, there wasn't a lot of opportunity to land in some places in Europe. There wasn't a lot of employment opportunities in some areas in Europe. So we see a large amount of people move from places in Europe to the United States in hopes of finding a better job, in hopes of being able to afford to buy land in the United States. Okay, they want to live the American dream. All right. What is the American dream? Well, it's the ideology that if you work hard, you can achieve your goals. Okay, whether your goals are to own land, work a job that you like, and earn a lot of money at that job. Okay, it varies a little bit for everybody. Bulk of Europeans are still going to make their living farming during this time, and they hear of all these factory jobs in America, and that causes them to have this great excitement and want to leave their European country in hopes of moving to America and finding a job in a factory. So what kind of industrialized jobs were they searching for? They wanted to work in the meatpacking industry, which was big in Chicago. A lot of people are going to move over from England and Germany and Ireland and work in the steel mills in areas like Pittsburgh and the textile mills in the New England region, in the northeastern part of the United States. And they're going to be really excited to do that. So let's talk about some of the reasons why people want to leave their European country now. So a lot of them, they didn't have high-paying jobs, they had low-paying jobs, or they didn't have a job at all. Okay, so they're going to leave their country in hopes of finding a job where they make more money, or they just wish to move somewhere where they could get a job because they did not have one over where they were living in Europe. Okay? A lot of Europeans are going to wish to move out of their country because it's unsafe. Their government hasn't set up a good system of enforcing the law, so crime rates are really high. And they're going to move to America because America is generally safer than their old country. Okay? America is doing a better job of enforcing their laws during this time. A lot of farmers over in Europe, they're going to experience crop failure due to droughts and outbreaks of bacteria that destroy crops. So they're going to wish to come over to America where they hear there's fertile land. And if they move to the West, there's some fertile land available that they don't even have to pay for if they take advantage of the Homestead Act of 1862, which grants anybody a free piece of land in the western part of the United States as long as they promise to farm it for 5 years. And then some countries are in the midst of a war in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and that's why people wish to leave those European countries and move over to America. Okay? Another big reason why a lot of immigrants come over from countries in Europe is due to them experiencing religious persecution. So in a lot of areas, people are being treated unfairly due to their religious beliefs. And in America, we know Americans have always had the right to religious freedom. You could certainly argue that that's a big reason why the United States was founded. Right? We see these groups like the Puritans and the Pilgrims, they come over to exercise that right to religious freedom because they're being treated unfairly over in England in the 1600s due to their religious beliefs. Well, we see another group, known as the Irish, move out of the English area over in Europe, okay, due to the fact that a lot of Irish people are Catholic and they're treated unfairly due to their Catholic beliefs. During this time, throughout the 1800s and 1900s, the Protestant religion, that form of Christianity, is spreading throughout Britain. And the Protestant English government is treating the Irish Catholics unfairly. So the Irish Catholics, they wish to move out away from Britain and over to the United States, where they're treated more fair, okay, than they would be over in Britain. We also see the Jews experience heavy amounts of persecution over in Eastern Europe, and they wish to flee that persecution they're experiencing and escape to America, where they're treated more fair. All right, and then we see a lot of Eastern Europeans, especially Poles and Russians, wish to escape their oppressive or unjust governments. So during this time, the Polish and Russian governments are taxing their citizens at extremely high rates. All right, they're taxing them so much that a lot of Poles and Russians can barely profit from the jobs they're working. Okay, so they're barely making enough money to take care of their families, or they're not making enough money from their jobs to take care of their families due to the high amount of taxes they have to pay. So these groups are going to move into America in high numbers during the 1800s and 1900s. And then a lot of Europeans are going to move to America because they desire adventure. They're tired of their old routines living in their countries over in Europe. Okay, they wish to experience something new. They heard the American West was a great place to go on an adventure, okay, which is a relatively new part of the United States during this time. And there were a lot of opportunities in the West. Okay? And they heard that one way to explore the American West for free was to take advantage of the Homestead Act of 1862, which granted anybody a free opportunity to own land in the western part of the United States, as long as they promised to farm that land for 5 years. And then we see a lot of people moving over to the United States from Ireland during the Great Potato Famine, which kills about 1 million people. And this famine is going to be caused by a bacteria known as blight. Okay, so this bacteria spreads all over the potato farms in Ireland, killing a majority of the crop growing in Ireland, which causes a food shortage because the Irish were heavily reliant on growing and eating potatoes. Okay, it's going to lead to about 1 million people dying, and the Irish potato farmers during this time, they're not making any money, so they can't. A lot of them lose their farms because they can't afford to pay their property taxes to the Irish government. Okay, so what a lot of those farmers do, due to them failing and not making any money, they're going to move to America if they're able to. Okay, and a lot of Irish people, if they're able to, they are also going to move to America. Okay, because in America, there's not a shortage of food, and crops are growing way better in America during the famine than they are in Ireland. All right, so a lot of Irish are going to take advantage of the opportunity to move to America if they can. All right, and there's what the blight bacteria caused potatoes to look like, right? Not edible, and just that blight bacteria completely ruined the crop, causing the Great Famine. So a lot of immigrants who moved to the United States before the 1880s are going to be from Germany, England, France, Ireland, and Northern and Western Europe. Well, after the 1880s, so during the Reconstruction era and after, a lot of people are going to move into American cities from Southern and Eastern Europe. All right, so these include the Slavs, the Poles, the Russians, and Italians. So they're going to move to America in large numbers after the 1880s. But before, it's mainly these groups at the top that migrate to America. And between 1871 and 1921, most Americans are going to come from Southern and Eastern Europe, Italy, Greece, Poland, Russia, etc., as well as Japan and China. Important to note. And a lot of them are going to migrate through Ellis Island. Ellis Island was in New York City. So what would happen is all the people coming over from European countries would have to check in through Ellis Island. They'd be checked for diseases there, amongst other things. And they were eventually granted their right of passage, which means they were let into the country after they were checked out by customs. Okay. So basically what the U.S. Customs wanted to do, those were the U.S. government officials who checked the immigrants in. They just wanted to make sure that they were coming to America for the right reasons. And they weren't coming to cause harm to Americans, and they weren't coming to carry diseases into America. And by 1910, 6 million immigrants had come to America through Ellis Island. So big, big numbers. So here you see some of the actual images of all these immigrants migrating into America through Ellis Island. So the main reasons why people come to America during the 1800s and the early 1900s are hopes for better opportunities. They want to escape from oppressive governments. They had a large desire for adventure, or they desired religious freedom. Right? They didn't want to be treated unfairly due to their religious beliefs. So what was the result of rapid industrialization in the late 1800s? Well, because all of these factories were emerging in major cities in the United States, more people were moving into those cities to work in those factories. So since there were more jobs in cities, people would move to the cities, and it led to a large increase in the population of urban areas in the United States. So just to give you an idea how large the increase was, from 1860, roughly right before the Civil War started, to 1910, New York City goes from roughly 800,000 people living in it to almost 5 million. Chicago grows from roughly just over 100,000 to over 2 million people. Cities in the West, like St. Louis, grow from around 150,000 people to almost 1 million. And smaller cities like Pittsburgh grow from 50,000 people to 500,000 people living within them. And even those smaller cities west and in the south, like Denver, Colorado, grows from 5,000 people to over 100,000. Birmingham, Alabama, grows from 0 to 26,000 in rural Alabama. Minneapolis, Minnesota, Midwestern state city during this time, grows from 13,000 to 165,000. So we see these drastic increases in population in these major cities due to industrialization happening within them. So we have all these specialized industries that are emerging in major cities of the United States. We see the steel industry emerge in Pittsburgh. We see the meatpacking industry emerge in Chicago. So because there's more jobs available within these cities, more people are going to move into them.